the Tribeca Games thingy. So let me get this set up here real quick. But yeah, this is the one where there's 2 really big ones, and then the rest I don't really know about. So, again, I don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing, because I think it's pretty close to an hour. Maybe we will. We'll see. All right, here we go. Some kind of pixel art game. I might have to turn it down a little bit. Yep. Also, Microsoft put out a little press thing talking about co-streaming and copyrighted music.
Canon Bridge of Spirits is a rich, compelling tale of fantasy and adventure with themes of trauma and loss of forgiveness. And yes, it's full of fast-paced action and breathless battles with supernatural foes, but the first thing that hits you when you see it is the beauty of a debut game from a small but passionate team at Ember Labs, and how the stunning animation of its lush, magical world pulls
I am
into a
very
journey
much
of a
looking
spirit
forward to
guide
this
trying
game.
to save a
This
village
game looks
haunted by
amazing.
restless souls. But why not let you see it for yourself? Here's our next official selection, Canon Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah, when they showed this off at Sony several months ago, it was like, holy crap.
Ground yourself.
It's like you're playing a Pixar movie.
Feel the energy of the mountain. Draw on its power.
This game's only $40, and I have no idea how they're pulling that off. Must only be like a five-hour game or something.
Ember Lab is a really small studio. We have a background in film and animation. We got our start doing visual effects for films.
Oh, that's cool.
And then from there, we grew into doing a lot of animated work for commercials. In between commercial projects, we would always siphon off some time to learn new things and be a little creative.
Oh, that's really cool.
And over time, we decided that, wow, we have a real passion for games. And we wanted to throw our hat into the ring with our first project, Canon.
Something tells me you did not come to us.
Stay a while and listen.
Forest creatures.
Hello, Spirit. I seek passage to the sacred mountain shrine.
We've been playing games our whole lives together as brothers, and the action adventure games are sort of what we play together and we also enjoy. Yeah. We kind of had this idea of the rot being a kind of a force of nature that was maybe working against you. It was kind of the enemy initially. And then I kind of had the thought to flip it, where the rot become your companions.
I like all the little creature things.
Come on.
And that's when we kind of found that we had something kind of unique.
Get off my head.
It opened up a lot of cool mechanics, especially with the puzzles in the game.
Whoa, that's weird.
With film, you can just put the camera where you want it. You can tell, you have complete control over what they're seeing, when they're seeing it, how they're seeing it. And in games, all that goes out the window. So communicating ideas or themes to the player is a lot more difficult, we found.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause it here for just a second because I'm dropping heavy frames. Internet, are you dying on me? What are you doing? I mean, we are like dead right now. Okay, well. Hey, Al Reifman. I think there was like an official payday thing today. I haven't heard too much about it, but I saw like a little snippet. Okay, I think we are back.
You have to be really sort of crafty in how you're getting communication to the player, especially when it's trying to do it through gameplay and not just like always through cutscene.
One of Tara's memories. I should see where it leads me.
We love creating immersive experiences, and we try to really think about atmosphere and tone a lot when we're in on the game development side.
Like storytelling and atmosphere is a big part of our traditional medium in terms of film aesthetics. Just having the world be something that you want to sit down and explore and be a part of was a goal of ours from the beginning. Having a nice team of really great.
It looks like it's like a standard action adventure game.
Off some of the
just really pretty.
The game.
A little bit of Pikmin in there for anybody who ever played that old series on Nintendo.
We're actually making like a 45-minute animated movie inside of a game.
Hi.
We're really proud of the team. A lot of them come from the visual effects and animation background and kind of like converted their skill sets from the film and animation background into developers on the game side.
Combat looks really decent. Really quick. Dodge roll system.
During the process of making the game, we also were introduced to a musical group called Sudamani. And we actually, Jason and myself went over to Bali to do recording for the soundtrack.
One of the things that's grown out of that relationship is Dewa is the composer, but his daughter Ayu is actually the voice of Canon.
My name's Kana. What are you two doing out here?
She's never
hugging
done
these
voice
little
acting, but
things.
She fit right in.
It's okay. You have to go now.
We wanted to make a game that would just excite us if we saw it. Something that we would see the trailer. Oh yeah, that game looks awesome. Yeah. So as difficult as it has been, it's also very rewarding because it's like something that we would be very proud of. Something that we would want to pick up ourselves.
You must move on.
Well, that's crazy.
The path of a spirit guide is a lonely one.
Hopefully the PC port is good.
Southern Gothic is
Oh God, it's
uniquely
Norman
American
Reedus.
storytelling tradition, blending magical realism with dark tales of decay in the American South. Norco adds a dash of sci-fi to the Southern Gothic stew, weaving cyborgs and artificial intelligence into pixelated Louisiana landscapes, where the sun sets heavy and orange over the swamps, and oil refineries blaze like torches in the night. It is a place where people, memories, and secrets have a way of getting lost and buried. Dig them up if you dare in the haunting and extraordinary adventure that is Norco.
Is he like voicing the main character or something? Oh, it's like a pixel art game. Usually these don't have dialogue. Of course, it's got a motorcycle in it. Everything that Norman has is like affiliated with as a
Geography of
motorcycle.
Robots is a handful of devs, artists, and musicians making output that is largely centered around the American South and the psychogeography of the American South.
That was that's a live shot of Iowa today. Actually got some rain. Not enough, but...
Our first release is a game called Norco, which is about my hometown of Norco, Louisiana. A small, very industrialized town, about 25 miles upriver from New Orleans. There's so many intersecting pieces of infrastructure. So many stories embedded in the landscape. I've been fascinated with that region since I was a kid.
Huh. You know, you don't get many games centered around small towns in the U.S.
Research interests into something, and
especially pixel art
Norco
games.
is that culmination of effort.
Oh, is it a point and click? Looks like it's a point and click
Draws from
adventure
both
game.
Reality and certain sci-fi tropes.
These kind of games were really popular in the 90s. Ah! That's...
To explore little air pockets of the surreal within the reality of the game.
The primary benefit that we have working in this sort of adventure game point-and-click genre is that we've got just decades and decades of iteration to build on within this genre, going back to the old Lucas games, you know, Monkey Island and such. What works for our story? What are the necessary mechanics to tell the story of Norco?
It's an interesting way of doing combat.
I was interrogating a lot of events and experiences from the past. I was playing a lot of 2D pixel art games at the time. A lot of traumatic events had occurred both in my personal life and the life of the region that I was exploring, and I thought there was a kind of hauntological element to using pixel art to tell those stories. I don't have any artistic experience, and so doing a simple 2D pixel art game fit the best within my limited resources that I had.
In the more recent years, big and small studios have really been pushing like what it means for player agency to take a front seat in a semi-linear narrative.
It has been an interesting journey, pushing the boundaries of the medium and kind of forcing it into this more complex, uncomfortable future.
So wait, how did these guys get Norman Reedus? It's like a guy who knows a guy kind of thing.
In the handmade adventure game Harold Halibut, a spaceship full of people fleeing the Cold War crash lands in an alien ocean, where the sunken ship becomes a city that is forever stuck in the 1970s. And when I say handmade adventure game, I mean that in a very physical, tangible way. Every set, every character, every floorboard, and every coffee cup has been meticulously handcrafted from wood, clay, cloth, and metal.
I think I've seen this game.
Gorgeous world to life. I'm pleased to introduce the stop-motion adventure, Harold Halibut.
Yeah, this was shown, I want to say, at E3 last year, and they actually showed the process on how they're making this game, and it's like highly unusual. It's kind of like that old school like claymation to a certain degree, but then it's got elements of other stuff.
Hi, we are Slow Brothers, a tiny interdisciplinary game studio based in Cologne, Germany.
Yeah, so they're literally like handcrafting everything and then they shoot it. It's kind of different. It's kind of like Cuphead, on how Cuphead was 100% hand-drawn.
Daydreaming. And don't forget to fix the light after cleaning up the paint.
Sometimes I do wonder what life would have been like on Earth.
It's been about 10 years since we started game development. Some of us have a film background, and at that time we were kind of frustrated about the big budgets needed to produce a feature-length film, the dependencies to producers. Being also game lovers, we thought that making a game instead of a film to tell a story might be the more approachable endeavor. We quickly realized that the budgeting thing at least wasn't too different from feature-length films, but we were way too deep into the process already when we realized that.
Yeah, it's probably kind of one of those things where they started making it and started handcrafting everything, and they're doing it, and they were like, you know what, this is actually going to take way longer than we anticipated.
Our goal has always been to create a accurate recreation of a stop-motion film, to create a cinematic feel. And our initial approach was quite a lot of experimentation involved until we found our process that we use now, which is 3D scanning everything by using photogrammetry to create 3D models of the characters that we then animate using motion capturing.
I mean, it's very different because most
fluidity and also all the options that we have in
most developers would do like
light the scenes,
you know, initial sketches and stuff like that, and then from there figure out the character and do it all digitally and everything.
It's even a little bit different than, you know, traditional stop motion animation, and we really liked.
But these guys are like, let's build the model, scan it,
and the analog world.
So they're just building everything. It's crazy. It's taking a lot of extra work to do something like that. But maybe in the end it'll look really different. Or really unique.
We've heard a bunch of people questioning why we put such effort into building the sets and the tiny details. Ultimately, we think that's why the game feels the way it does is because of the sum of its parts and that level of detail coming together as like a greater thing. We just like put a lot of effort into giving the individual characters and Harold's social environment a lot of depths, and that ultimately makes for like a rich experience.
Now, if you're quite ready.
Sure. Ready for what?
I made a breakthrough discovery at the Arboretum last night. You remember the last batch of bloomy rocks?
Oh, the really small ones from the last intake? The ones with the strange shapes and the little holes and...
The blue ones, yes. Turns out their surface composition doesn't just give us clues about our immediate aquatic environs. I think they've picked up some influences from outer space as well.
We create a relatable science fiction world instead of having a super distant sci-fi future where things are so different that it might as well be magic.
It may have started with one man, but it took the hearts and minds of many more to make the dream a reality. That dream began at the height of the Cold War, when the world was on the very brink of annihilation. He conceived of an Ark-like spacefaring ship. After 200 years, we finally arrived at our destination, only to find that the promising, watery planet contained no habitable landmass and dense toxic gases in the atmosphere.
The Cold War seemed like a good starting point for the backstory of our game, and it enabled us to have this kind of weird mix of being stuck in the 70s on one hand and not living through the things we all know in our present, but also thinking into the future, the 200 years after
That's
that.
kind of like how Fallout
creating
is.
this kind of alternative
Stuck in the
timeline where
you know,
things evolve
whatever,
in a different
40s,
way.
50s, 60s, you know,
It's just
whatever.
that the professor and I need some sea rocks. I mean, filter rocks from older times that have come from the filters, and I feel like you might have one.
Okay, look and listen here, Longy Long Pants. I shut the store for a reason, you know?
While we have this overarching storyline in our game with multiple story arcs, Herald is only one part of its bigger story, and we always kind of focus on Herald's personal interactions, relationships and friendships of Herald.
Harold! Good timing. You can explain things to the Major, can't you?
Harold, come here and explain things.
So, Harry, how's life been treating you?
You know, keeping fishy.
What?
You know, keeping busy.
Okay.
Harold.
Is everything okay?
And therefore really concentrated on providing a lot of depth in those characters for players to ultimately explore.
Harold, won't you stay? The jog team won't be the same without you.
Yeah, venga, Harold. You can't leave now, I just got here. Jog team, jog team, jog team.
Go jog team.
Come on, Harold. Keep up.
Deep breaths, Harold. You're doing great.
Guys, have you got any tips?
Just keep on moving, Harold. You never know when you'll have to slow down. So keep going while you can.
Yeah, that is so cute.
All right, we need you to mocap some dancing. It's got to be from the 70s, though. Make it like a Richard Simmons.
Imagine setting off across a vast desert on a rite of passage, with no one to share the long and lonely trip but
It's
your
called
trusty hover
Japanese
bike.
breakfast.
On your journey to the horizon, you will traverse a world of beauty and mystery, full of spectacular ruins, both ancient and futuristic.
But yeah, that last game looks
This
really
is
interesting
the
to
joy
me.
of exploration.
It's gonna be
the thrill
curious
of
to see
discovery.
how it
And if you listen to the stories of the people and places
how it is
you
when it actually
encounter,
comes out.
perhaps a chance to learn what you came here to understand. This is Sable.
Oh, Sable. So this is a game we saw a little preview of at Summer Game Fest. This again was shown at E3 the last couple years. It's got a very interesting art style. But as far as like the actual gameplay and what do you do in the game, I don't know. Could be like a journey style game where it's just all about exploration.
Shedworks is us. I'm Greg, this is Daniel, and we started out in my parents' shed.
Sable is the main character. She's a young girl.
Wow, they
who's
really
leaving
recorded
her
this with a bad
home
mic.
for the first time.
Like really far away. But what's interesting, I think, is when you look at this game, you look at the last game, you look at a game that's coming up, which is 12 minutes. You're essentially looking at, you know, 3 games or 3 or 4 games that all have like art styles that we've never seen before.
It's how you find out what you want to become in life. Leaving your
Or a
home
game
behind,
being done or
experiencing the world,
created,
meeting
you know,
people,
using a
trying
method that
things,
has
helping
never
those
been
in
done
need,
before.
And ultimately deciding what do I want to devote my life to.
We got a pod racer.
So much of the people here, the communities here, are defined by their vocation. You know, the desert that they live in is inhospitable, and so they've kind of had to come together and had to form groups around resources. And so Sable kind of goes from place to place, meeting different societies and cultures, built around completely different experiences of the same environment. It means that she has to be a sponge, right? She's trying to figure out her place in the world, what she wants to do for the rest of her days. And I think that's what makes the story so fun. It really is about the places that you go, the people that you see, and the experiences that you have that not only shape her gliding, but shape her.
So does it have a free climbing system like Breath of the Wild? Or even like Assassin's Creed? Kind of looks that way.
My dad and Daniel's dad went to architecture school together. You know, our lives have kind of crossed a bit in that period. Your mum taught me art at secondary school.
By the time we were at sort of university age, that was when indie games had really kind of taken off as a creative sort of field. I started to think about if there was something that I could
It's really hard to hear what they're saying.
I studied architecture, Daniel studied comparative literature, but neither of us had any experience making games before we started making games. We kind of went to the pub one time and had a chat about how because we had none of these industry direct connections to skills or experience, we thought we'd start our own internship, do our own internship in the shed. The initial thought was just, let's get some experience under our belt and see where we go from there. Somehow 6 years or so later, we're here now, still going. Yeah. The thing that we've really tried to focus on is exploration, and we've kind of geared every design decision that we could around that focus. There's no
fall
real
damage
danger to the player in the game. It is quite relaxing in a way, but that doesn't make it less curious a world to explore, I think.
I think the unique thing about it is how lonely it is, and the pace of the game is very laid back.
It was the first game that we designed that was really geared around our skills as well, our backgrounds. We wanted to do something narrative focused, we had a background in comparative literature, we wanted something too architecturally focused, and my background in architecture helped with that. So I think that it's come from us in that way, makes it quite unique.
It's kind of interesting. The character animation looks like it runs at like 12 FPS.
I guess some of the most obvious ones are the visual ones, right? Stuff like Mobius or Tintin or Studio Ghibli, and those kind of pieces were always influential.
Yeah, it does have that mix of ancient and futuristic to our eyes, right, who live here, but to the eyes of Sable and to everyone in that world, that is all that they know.
We brought Japanese breakfast onto the project really early on, like before we'd really started it, and so our music had kind of been there from the very beginning. So that's been the music itself has been a really big part of shaping where the direction of the game.
Very interesting game. Did we get yeah, we got a release date on this, didn't we? Wasn't it? No release date here. Hold on. Did I have a?
In the Gothic fairy tale Lost in Random, the world is divided into 6 shadowy realms, where every citizen's fate is determined by the roll of a cursed die. You play as Even, a young girl who's set out on a quest to save her beloved sister, Odd. And with the help of your companion, a magical living die named Dicey, you'll find yourself battling your way through a dark wonderland, and if you want to win the game, you'll have to embrace the chaos and find a way to tip the odds in your favor. From the Odd and Even minds of Zoink Games, here is Lost in Random.
I've heard this name. Which game is this? Lost in Random.
So Lost in Random is being developed here at Zoink Games in Gothenburg, Sweden. We're about 80 developers with a few different projects, but Lost in Random is definitely our biggest and most ambitious project ever.
Kind of reminds me of like a Tim Burton
narrative-driven
movie.
games. We really want to make games that speak to people and touch people and make people think.
Like a Nightmare Before Christmas or something. Yeah.
Lost in Random is a 3D action-adventure game set in the gorgeous Gothic fairy tale
Or maybe
world
even
of
like
Random.
Alice in Wonderland a little
And
bit.
it tells the tale of Even, a young girl who befriends Dicey, a living dice with incredible powers.
Even goes on this journey to rescue her sister from the clutches of the Mad Queen, who's obsessed with board games.
And so the Queen decreed that any child who had turned the age of 12 would be given the grand honor of rolling her one true dice to show them their place in the world of random. For random is fair, random prevails, and random rules. Random rules.
Even, she's this naive young kid who's just, for the first time, going out into the world to find out who she is.
It's really a story about the randomness of life and conquering the fear of it.
See, I don't know if I'd play this or not. It's really weird.
Even and Dicey are a really fun duo. Even is this quick to anger, but she's not one to hold grudges, but she can easily get into a fight. And Dicey's there to hold her back. Dicey, who is this cute puppy kind of character, his moment to shine is when you're in combat. When Even rolls Dicey, he becomes this kind of Swiss army knife of magical power.
No, Dicey. They should be scared of us. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're really in love with this project. It's a great story.
I'll voice that
it's
character.
Great actors. It's the innovative gameplay, and it just feels like everything is just so perfectly packaged together around the dice and this universe.
And the style of the game is kind of like something out of a Laika or Tim Burton movie. It's really everything we've dreamt of doing all these years. It's really great, and we can't wait for everybody to play it.
Lost in Random. That's actually a good name.
In the interactive thriller 12 Minutes,
Oh my God,
you play as
it's
a man who becomes trapped in a time,
Professor X.
replaying the same 12 minutes of one fateful evening in his apartment over and over again.
Oh,
Each time
this
you're gonna have
game.
the chance to make
This
new
game
choices,
looks
learn what led
amazing.
up to those terrible events, and perhaps even escape them. It's a story that's not just about how choices matter, but about how some stories can only truly be told when they can change, even just a little bit, every single time you retell them. It was a joy to participate in this project and lend my voice to the main character, and I hope you have as
Daisy
much fun
Ridley's
playing
also
it
doing a
as I did.
voice in this game,
I'm
and
very proud to
is
introduce a game where the end is only the beginning. 12 minutes.
yeah, 12 minutes. I'm forgetting the other guy.
I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
You want to guess what it is?
This is an outfit for a newborn. You bought it this morning. You wanted to surprise me.
I'm sorry.
You're pregnant.
You know?
I know because you already gave it to me. This has happened before.
What are you talking about? What's going on?
Someone is coming. He's going to hurt us. He says you killed your father. I need to know what happened.
Why are you doing this? My father died.
Died of a heart attack?
No, I didn't have anything to do with...
Any second now, he's gonna knock on that door. Help me.
This isn't happening. This can't be happening.
Police, open up.
My name is Luis. I'm the creator of 12 Minutes.
I hope we get a release date.
I grew up watching a lot of film. They always captivated me, and I tried to understand what were they doing. The pacing, the colors, the lighting, the composition, in order to create these emotions in me. What are the tools we have as game designers that allow us to do similar things? I think the biggest challenge is that usually when we think about narrative, we think about a linear progression. And in an interactive game, at least in 12 minutes, that information can come at any moment depending on what you've done.
What's the occasion?
I'll tell you over dessert.
All right, I'm ready to get wowed by this dessert.
Just give me 1 second.
You know, I'm fascinated by the idea of if you knew what's going to happen, what would you do differently? 12 Minutes is an interactive thriller about a man trapped in a time loop. You come home from work, you're having an evening with your wife, then this cop shows up, he accuses your wife of murder.
Hands behind your back, let's go.
You try to stop him, you get beat up.
Somebody help!
Only to wake up back to the start of the evening. And then you have to use the knowledge of what you know it's going to happen to try to change the outcome and break the loop.
Look, I know this sounds weird, but the day's repeating itself.
What do you mean, repeating itself?
I'm living the same chunk of time over and over again.
Uh-huh.
The reason the game sticks to a bird's eye view is because it allows you to very easily interact with the environment. Most video games, you have a third-person camera or a first-person camera, and I wanted to create something that is very accessible. So by doing a bird's eye view, you have like a floor plan of the apartment that you just click where to move. There was also the challenge of having the voices convey the emotions without seeing the faces. If someone is really stressed out, you won't have any facial expressions, so you have to feel the stress in the throat.
Particularly because you don't see our faces in it, you really are projecting whatever you're feeling onto the character. There's no facial expressions that are instructing you. Where you go in the game will, I think, depend on you as an individual.
I just need some time to myself. Come on, babe, please, stop it.
And if there's enough subtlety in the voice acting, in the movement, your brain will fill the rest. Because actors think in terms of motivations. You know, what's my motivation for this?
William Dafoe.
And workshopping with them, figuring those things out, allows the characters to
that's your
become
cast,
alive
those three.
And become meaningful in the way they behave.
Look, I didn't mean to. This is never what I wanted.
No, come on. I warned you.
Look, you can't do this. It will be different things for different people. There are so many versions of the story that will either reveal something or show something, and you as the player are revealing how you deal with truth, how you deal with other people's truth.
Working in interactive medium, you can make a story that becomes very personal to you, right? You're not passively looking at what's happening and processing. You're actually deciding. By allowing you to participate, to change it, and to mold the way it's built, in a way it becomes part of you. It's like you're part of the creative process that is happening. And because the game doesn't really give you a direction, the decisions you make are based on who you are.
I'll prove it.
Yeah, great, let's see it. Wow me.
That allows you to explore a side of yourself that maybe you wouldn't otherwise.
Silently repeat these phrases. May you be free from suffering. May you be free from fear. May you know peace.
His voice is like crazy, you know? William Dafoe. Yeah, that game looks incredible. Dang it, no release date.
If you're not familiar with The Big Con, a coming-of-age comedy adventure about
Melissa
a teen
Joan
in the
Hart.
1990s, well, let me explain. You play as Allie, a high school junior who learns that her
How many
mom
famous
is about to
people are
close
in
her
this?
video rental store to loan sharks unless they come up with over $90,000 ASAP. Well, there's clearly only one thing you can do. Run away from band camp, head to the mall, and become a con artist. I mean, that's just common sense. From the decade that gave us the World Wide Web and so much plaid, I give you The Big Con.
She used to be just so big in the 90s. I'm sure everybody in chat probably saw one of our TV shows back in the day. I'm going to mute this here for a second because I want to talk about 12 minutes. I think what happened with 12 minutes is it was shown at E3 like 2 years ago, and it just blew up so big that the guy who was developing it just got completely like flooded with, I think, like money and all this stuff. So the fact that he was able to hire those three to do the VO for the game is pretty crazy. Because I think he already had, you know, people doing the game. Because if you go back and look at the original trailer for it, it's different people doing the voices of the characters. So it's got to be crazy for that guy. Just like some indie developer just working on this like crazy little game, and it gets shown, it blows up, and it's like it gets funded beyond your wildest dreams, and you get like 3 big actors, and it's crazy.
Bat an eye, but you know, the moment you have to steal an old lady's wallet, people start to think maybe there's something wrong with you, which is fine. That's part of the fun of making this. It really helps us make something that, you know, challenges people and challenges ourselves, and hopefully helps us find a little bit of in between in a story like this.
I don't know what this is. Oh, big con.
Ultimately, Allie's doing crimes for a good cause, and you know, writing a funny and heartfelt story kind of helps justify those actions. So, you know, on the one hand, we get to make a game that we've never seen before, which is a con artist video game, and on the other hand, we get to kind of couch that in
that like looks like very 90s
small
artwork,
businesses surviving, and you know, a story about a mother and a daughter. And between that and the 90s, it really informed like what we were capable of coming up with in terms of this relationship. Like, who is Linda, Allie's mom, who raised her as a single mom and kept a business together and is tough as hell, and what is that person like, and what is her daughter like? How do they play off against each other? Allie can be, you know, she can be a teenager, she can be rough, she can be sarcastic. And this is something that we really wanted to see, and I think it brings a lot of truth to the game.
$97,000.
If it makes us laugh, it goes in the game. That was our rule. Like, we really want you to explore and find stuff. Random conversations with people that, you know, some people might see, some people might not. It makes us happy knowing
It's got aliens in it? What's this blue guy? Is it a chiss? Is this a Star Wars game?
It, I think, really builds on the feeling of like building your own adventure. The 90s are just they're not as done in video games. We wanted to do it. We wanted to get in there. The 90s are a time when you don't
what's the play
have
on
cell
here?
phones, you don't have the internet.
We're gonna
you don't
perform
have
the old
ability to look
switcheroo,
this stuff
Johnny?
up if you need to, and it makes it a
Oh,
little bit more
this reminds me.
believable that you
I
could
mean,
be
he
a
just mentioned the
traveling con
90s.
artist, which I think is
What's the
part of the charm.
comic strip
So,
that this
you know,
looks like?
with the
Is it
90s
Archie?
music, we also get to do this ribbon, colorful palette that Saffron put together.
I watched a lot of cartoons growing up. Hey Arnold, Doug, and The Simpsons. They sort of set the foundation for this cartoon 90s aesthetic. Bright, contrasting colors, exaggerated features, and like fun geometric patterns. So Allie is a very does what she wants character. She wears her cap backwards. That to me was always the signature
Because
look
she's
of
cool.
the cool leader type character that you'd see in a lot of cartoons. You know, she has the ripped jeans, the baggy t-shirt, and she also wears her plaid shirt wrapped around her waist, which is, you know, a very, I think, 90s style.
The references from Burblos to music or grunge or you know, what movies were popular.
The CD
and
thing's
like,
never gonna
just-
last.
We don't want to beat you over the head.
I
with
mean-
nostalgia, but we want to bring you there. We want you to be on this journey with us.
The Big Con is the 90s crime adventure you've been waiting for. What do you think, Rad Ghost? Okay.
I just want to finish off by saying thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this, and to be, you know, in the presence of such incredible games, and really just incredible international talent. It means a lot to a pretty stoked team from Toronto. So we hope to see you there, and we may try to steal the award anyways.
Good job. Oh, are we like done? I think we're done. I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. Yeah, so that was a good short little show. Only had like a handful of games or so, but they spent more time on each of the games. But yeah, 12 minutes. I've been looking forward to that game since it was shown several years ago. Looks absolutely fantastic. It was cool. Let me see if I can back this up a little bit here. I think Sable looks really cool. This game looks really neat. I don't know if I'll actually play it, but I think it has some really cool ideas. Kenya. This game looks absolutely fantastic. So yeah, this was just a really good showing of several good little games.
We also were introduced. We were doing a lot of games are sort of what we play together, and we also enjoy. Yeah.
I don't know. Any thoughts about that, chat? Don't have too much more to say about it. One thing I will say sort of overall is when we were going into the E3 coverage, one thing that I said was I think we're going to get a lot of repeats because the same thing happened last year with the all digital E3. So this is already the second time we've seen Sable. We'll probably see Sable again. I think we'll see Kenya again. Now, whether or not they do completely different, like, trailers or presentations every time, it's hard to say, but...
We had something kind of unique.
Yeah, I just think we'll continue to see some more repeats. We'll probably see 12 minutes again somewhere. But yeah, just overall a good little presentation from these guys. Yeah, we'll have to see what they have next. For those who are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.